Hi everyone, how are you doing today? In this video, I'm going to talk about the official policy for an accredited employer work visa for New Zealand. So I've been reading a lot of stuff on Facebook, I've been looking at TikTok videos, I've been looking at videos from other YouTube channels, and a lot of the information is completely wrong. So what I want to have a look at today is the actual official policy for a work visa, and this is the official policy that immigration officers use when they're assessing a work visa. So this is the official government policy here, and it's used by the immigration officer when they assess your work visa. So we're going to have a look at it, and I'm going to break it down into four main requirements. So we're going to start with the requirements for the employment offered, and the code for that is WA 4.10.1. So let's just call that number one. Let's just call that requirement one because it makes it a lot simpler. So for this requirement, the offer of employment must be genuine and include the following information, which is just the basic information that any normal employment agreement or employment offer would have. So obviously the location of the employer, the name and address, a full job description, the hours you'll be working, the pay rate, all that normal stuff you'd expect from any genuine employment agreement or any genuine employment offer. So, pretty normal stuff there. The other thing is the offer of employment must be from an accredited employer. So, employers in New Zealand, they must go through an accreditation process with the New Zealand government. And for this process, they do an application. They need to get accredited before it's possible for you to get a work visa. And they also need to have an approved job check application for the role that you're applying for. So if you've found an employer that wants to hire you and they're not accredited or they don't have an approved job check, it's recommended that you hire a licensed immigration advisor to help that employer get accredited and do the job check. And keep in mind that employers have to pay for the accreditation and the job check. It's not for the worker to pay for that. So if you hire an employer, if you find a licensed immigration advisor, you send them off to deal with the employer. It's actually the employer that pays for the accreditation and for the job check. The only thing that you would pay for is your own work visa application. So in that case, there's quite a big benefit to getting a licensed immigration advisor because they can help sort out the employer for you, and them sorting out the employer for you doesn't cost you anything. Okay, and pretty standard there. So you need a genuine offer of employment, must be from an accredited employer, and they must have an approved job check application. So there's requirement one, it's pretty straightforward. Let's move down to the next requirement, determining whether an applicant is suitably qualified to do the job they have been offered. And the code for that is WA 4.10.5. So let's just call that number two, requirement two, just to keep it simple. This requirement is that you are suitably qualified to do the job that you've been offered, and you have the qualifications, work experience, and skills listed by the employer on the job check application. So, when an employer does a job check application, they state on that application what experience, what skills, what qualifications they want, and you need to meet those requirements. For example, if the employer lists that they want a bachelor's degree on the job seek application, you must have a bachelor's degree. If the employer lists that they want 5 years of relevant work experience, you must have 5 years. Whatever the employer lists on the job seek application, you need to have, and you need to show evidence of meeting that requirement. But there is one exception. If your role is on the green list and you meet the requirements of the green list for that occupation, you don't need to meet the requirements of your employer's job check. So let's just bring up the green list. Your job needs to be in the left hand column. So let's just take engineer and chemical engineer. And then you need to meet the requirements on the right hand side. So you need to meet one of those. I'm just using chemical engineer as an example. Your job needs to be on the left-hand column, and you need to meet the requirements on the right-hand column. And in that case, you don't need to meet the employer's requirements on the job check, because by meeting the requirements of the green list, it sort of shows that you're already qualified to do that role. Okay, and back to where we were. Yep, so basically, number 2, you need to meet the requirements of the employer's job check. If you don't meet those requirements, there's one exception in that you meet the requirements on the green list for your occupation. Okay, number 3, determining whether an applicant meets the minimum skills threshold, and that's WA 4.10.6. Let's just call that requirement 3. Requirement number 3, to keep it simple, an applicant meets the minimum skills threshold if an immigration officer is satisfied that they can demonstrate 3 years or more of relevant work experience with sufficient evidence, or have a relevant qualification at level 4 or higher on the New Zealand qualifications framework. So 3 years of relevant work experience with evidence, or a level 4 qualification, which is often a trade certificate, is often a 3-year trade certificate in most cases. Or you can have a bachelor's degree, and it can be in any subject. Bachelor's degree or higher, qualifications at a bachelor's degree or higher can be considered relevant to any employment offered. So, for example, if you have a bachelor's degree in chemistry, but you've got a job offer for human resources and HR, you can still use that bachelor's degree even if it's a different subject. However, if you only have a level 4 qualification, it must be in a relevant subject. Okay? I hope we're clear about that. So you want the 3 years. So basically, we break it down as either 1, you have 3 years or more relevant work experience. 2, you have a level 4 qualification in a relevant subject. Or 3, you have a bachelor's degree or higher in any subject. All right, and the last one, this isn't so much a requirement, but it's an outcome. It's more of an outcome based on your work visa process, determining the maximum continuous stay and required time spent outside of New Zealand, and that is WA 4.10.7. Let's just call that requirement 4, just to make it simple. When you apply for a visa, if you're being paid median wage or higher, which is currently $29.66, we can use this table to determine how long your visa will be. So if you have an NSCAL skill level 1, 2, or 3 job, so this is for the top skilled jobs, or it's on the green list, that's the list I just showed you, or for some cases it's included in a transport sector policy, which only applies to people working in transport. Same here, there's some exceptions for people in the transport sector, or if you're paid 1.5 times the median wage or higher, which is currently 47.41 per hour. If you can meet one of those requirements, you can get a 5-year visa. And if you have a low-skilled job and can't meet any of those requirements, you only get a 3-year visa. So let's say you get a 5-year visa, you're in New Zealand for those 5 years, your time's up, you now need to leave New Zealand for 12 months, then you can come back on another visa. If you can only get a 3-year visa, you can stay in New Zealand for up to 3 years, and you leave New Zealand for 12 months, and then you come back after those 12 months. So this is a little bit confusing. You really need to talk to a licensed immigration advisor, and they can have a look at your exact situation, and then they can determine how long you can stay. Now, there's an important exception to note. If you get on a residence pathway, this maximum continuous stay rule doesn't apply. If you can get on a residence pathway, you can stay in New Zealand while they're processing your residence, and then once you get a residence visa, you can live permanently in New Zealand. So none of this stuff only applies to temporary work visas. Anyway, okay, I hope this video wasn't too boring, but I've just wanted to go over the 4 main requirements. So the requirements for the employment offered, whether you're suitably qualified to do the job, whether you meet that minimum skills threshold, and determining the maximum stay for your time in New Zealand. And this policy here is the official policy. I'm saying this again, it's the official policy used by immigration officers. There's a lot of incorrect information on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. You really want to only be using the official information that immigration officers use. And if you're not sure, you can hire a licensed immigration advisor to help you through the process. There's a lot of, if you don't hire a licensed immigration advisor, there's a lot of fake agents, fake unlicensed people trying to do illegal things and bring people in not using the correct pathway, and many of them will take a lot of money from you and scam you. So it's always best to use the correct process if you want to move to New Zealand. Only follow the official policy. If you need help, hire a licensed immigration advisor. Don't hire any fake or unlicensed immigration consultants. And to know if an immigration advisor is legitimate, you can go to www.iaa.govt.nz. This is the official website here. Click on Find an Advisor. Type in their first name, type in the last one. So you type in my name, Andre Smith, or you can type in my advisor number, 2019-00841, and that will come up with my profile, with my contact details, and all about me. And you can type in anyone's details in here. So if you're working with a consultant, if their name doesn't appear here, and if their phone number and email address doesn't show on here, then they're probably a fake agent, and what you're doing is probably illegal. So always check the public register of licensed immigration advisors, and you'll avoid 99% of scams. Okay, hope this video wasn't too boring. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll be trying to do some more exciting videos in the future, but I just want to do this little video just to see people can see that there's actually official policy used by immigration officers, and it's always best to use the official process. Don't listen to random stuff on Facebook or TikTok or some other YouTube channels. Follow the correct process if you want to move to New Zealand. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I will see you later.